Starburns Audio.
Thank you for listening to the Starburns Audio Podcast Network. We have so many great comedy shows to add to your playlist. Just last week on Starburns Audio, on the Season 2 premiere of Humans Who Make Games, Adam Conover talks to comedian Ron Funches and Jean Goudon, creative director of the Assassin's Creed series. On Boogie Monster, Kyle Kinane and Dave Stone share a perfect recipe for the quarantined cook. This week on Profiles and Eccentricity, they cover the history of the Khorasan Unity cult, folks for whom a flat earth is ridiculous because they believe it's really a concave shell. Search Starburns Audio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any podcast platform for our full list of shows, featuring hosts like Joe Coy, Amanda Seals, Jessica Chobot, and Jackie Johnson. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Starburns Audio. Enjoy the show. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep laughing.
Dan and Ren and Jay will share tales of folks so unaware they lack in grace and sometimes choose the life they choose will make the news. Breaking down each epic fail in Florida, there's half-price bail. I'm happy to say they couldn't make this up. So listen to our podcast jam with co-host Arm and Dan. Benders, don't be a jerk, cause when the music hits the funny hits and we are gonna take you down. Stick around. Make a sound, hunker down, it's Dumb People Town.
Hey, Townies, welcome to another episode of Dumb People Town. Population you?
Population Gondelman.
Joshua Gondelman, you are
third.
here.
Are you Joshua Gondelman the third?
I'm not. That would have been a great pull, though.
Josh Gondelman, one of our favorite people in comedy, just a fantastic stand-up, a great writer, fantastic follow on the Twitters.
Oh,
amazing.
A lot of positive energy.
so much positive energy.
Thank you.
I just remember, you got it. I remember seeing you at the Spare Room in Brooklyn. We were doing a show, Comedians You Should Know, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
We had like a free week in New York. This is like 2 years ago. Or 2 summers ago, and like where we were working during the day, and then we just did all the shows we'd want to do at night, like Littlefield, and what was the place?
So it was Union Hall,
Littlefield, and then we did the Knitting Factory one night, and then we did this show there, and you showed up, and
we were like, "Are you on the show?" And you're like,
"No, I just came to watch and hang
I just
out."
came to see you guys,
and I was just so freaking happy, and I was like, "That's what this guy does." In addition to being super talented, but
thank you.
bring a level of happiness to the world and to our world, and I'm so freaking happy.
We'll
you're
talk
here.
about your new album. We'll talk about how people can buy the book, or
pre-order the book. There's
It's-
all good stuff to do, but I want your mind right now. I want to use it in a targeted way at the world, because we believe the world's getting dumber. I don't know do you feel that in New York City?
Yeah, I mean, I feel it. I almost feel like I do feel living in a bubble a little bit in New York, and I read stories, and I'm like,
But it's getting dumber in New York.
oh yeah,
too.
it's also getting dumber in New York,
Ridiculous,
for sure.
right?
Yeah.
It's like when the trash gets like piled up so much that you're just like, even the rats are like upset about
Yeah,
it in New York.
they can't even reach the top of the
They're
trash
like,
anymore.
I used to be able to get up there.
I never thought there'd be such a thing as too much trash.
I
There's too
can't
much
drag
trash.
this pizza on top of this trash bag.
But the idea that, like, I think that the dumb is piling up. I think
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
for sure.
Like the trash in New York, the dumb is piling up. Well, Dan Van Kirk is here. Hi, Dan.
Hello, how are you, friends?
We're good,
Hey,
man.
Dan, great to see you, buddy.
It is good to see you, my man.
And-
So we have stories sent to us by our fantastic, brilliant fans, our dumb ears on the ground, and they let us know what's going on. We try to break it down. The only way to fight back the dumb tidal wave is with comedy, we think. So, Dan, what do you got? At least
right.
that's how we can fight it.
You want to do a story?
Let's do
one.
it.
Let's jump
Okay.
in one.
Sent in by Catherine Tuck at Catherine Lorna.
She's great.
She's
A
on.
friend
Girl
of the
is wonderful.
show and
Friend
a
of the
friend
show.
of my heart.
Right.
Yes.
We've got a Greenlee.
Oh,
yes.
Let's explain.
I know. I love my favorite moment
Is introducing a new funny
is seeing
person.
one of our wonderful guests have that expression on their face when they're like, what the fuck is a Greenlee?
Okay.
That's where I am right now.
Will Greenlee
Welcome.
is and I'm putting this in the
No,
largest
don't.
air quotes
He's
ever,
hardcore.
journalist
Okay.
for
No.
the T.
No, he broke open
he
that
broke
Robert Kraft case.
Did he really?
did. He was one of the lead stringers, I guess,
Yes.
reporters on that.
Yeah.
So
He's the one who busted that?
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. He busted a nut wide open
Will
on that.
Greenlee's out here shutting down sex trafficking.
He busted all over the back of that story.
There it is.
So Will Greenlee is a journalist in Florida. He writes for the TC Palm regularly, although he did that other story for USA Today. But he writes stories, and it is our theory that Will Greenlee has a certain number of words he has to submit.
Let's say 1,500.
Or I've started wondering if we all have times in our life where, for one reason or another, that night or maybe that whole career, we were performing for one person.
Yep.
Sure.
We use that word or we
Do you
say
think
that
he's doing
thing.
it for us?
I think there's
wish
someone in his life that he knows doesn't understand simple things.
Okay.
Maybe it's his mom.
Or-
maybe it's his younger brother. And they're like, you know what? We're not going to let you near the rabbits, but you can read my article.
Or he believes the world is so dumb because he is covering such
He has to
dumb things.
over-explain
He has to
things we
over-explain it.
already
I mean,
understand.
know your audience.
So he explains in his articles things that you don't need any explanation. And then we get to play a wonderful game where we say, did Will Greenlee write that or is Dan fucking with
That's
us?
incredible.
Because I inject dumb
his things-
explanations.
And you will just
But
have to
I'm
guess.
just
so
to give you a
excited.
point of reference, it was not me. We have a Greenlee one time where he explained how an anchor works.
Yep. You know how most people are like, what is that? An anchor?
Right.
the most common metaphor for weighing something down and holding it in place.
You let it go. That's how it works.
Like the fact that I don't know what an anchor is kind of holding me back.
right.
It is. You're,
Anchors are like your anchors.
Yes, they are. I mean, the idea of an anchor, which I don't really understand, is rooting me in something.
Stopping you from just drifting away
But
to
it's
a
kind
different
of
place.
grounding me in a way.
Yes.
Anyway.
I also wanted to give a heads up to everybody listening. I have no idea. We're all gone and traveling so much. We're doing an amazing job of getting out in front of these. So I have no idea when this episode is going to drop.
I think
but
2
I will
weeks. 2
do
weeks
my
from
best
Tuesday.
to not keep talking about Damian Lillard's shot last night.
Oh my
I don't know
Incredible.
what will have happened
It was
by this
so
point, but it has become a new fulcrum point
I
in
just
my
want
life.
you to know, I wrote to Ian Carmel, who is,
Oh, yeah.
as far as I know, and this is
and
not.
who knows what their series will look like when this drops, when
this
they're playing.
isn't
I
a
think the
slam on Ian,
Rockets?
Ian Carmel.
No, they're not.
He's the biggest Portland Trailblazers fan, and that's not a
Denver.
joke on his
Denver.
size. I'm just he is the biggest
He
Portland
loves
Trailblazers
the
fan.
Trailblazers, supports them endlessly.
So I texted him last night. I'm just going to say
These
this.
are for our non-sports fans. The Damian Lillard, who's the wonderful guard who probably could have left to play for the Lakers or something, but stayed up in Portland because he loves Portland. He hit a shot 5 years ago that, Dan, you described. After he hit the shot, he looked around like he was looking for the father who left him.
Yes. Yeah.
What was his expression? It was like
he looked around as though he had just cut ties with the father who left him.
That's right.
like he did it this
Staring
time.
That was
through-
5
yeah.
years ago.
Staring
That
to
was
everybody.
5 years ago.
So
right,
last
like,
night-
just swish. Don't text.
I'm done with you.
I don't want your congratulations.
No, you don't understand. I don't even care anymore.
Swish, new phone, who dis?
Hey, Karen, who's a nerd in middle school now?
So last night it was
Lose my number.
115 to 115. He walked it all the way down. Didn't even. All he needs 1 point. He could have
It's-
taken a foul. He could have
it's
pushed
at home.
inside.
It's
he
at
could have
home.
gone for a layup.
It's at home.
And he just stood
Step
from
to the
about
side.
38,
37
37 feet
Step back.
Step back.
Swish.
and won the game.
In
And
Paul
the
George's
series.
face. This was contested.
Oh,
Incredible.
God.
So I wrote to Ian Carmel. I wrote, "Holy shit, Lillard." That's all I wrote. All right. He wrote, "I honestly can't believe it." I wrote twice in your lifetime, Dayenu, which is a reference to Passover because we're still in
Yeah,
Passover.
which is a Hebrew word meaning
it would have been enough. Once would have been enough.
would have been enough.
That was great.
And this
Jay.
is and by the way, this is Passover
So,
where you
right.
sing the song Diana. That's when we're recording.
So I said it almost makes up for the Trump presidency. It's that profound. And then I wrote 50 points. And he wrote, ha ha ha. And I was like, you're the most devout Blazers fan I know. I couldn't be happier for you. Second round.
That's awesome.
And that's the joy I felt for him.
right. Right.
So I will bring it back and say that is the joy right now that we are feeling for the fact that you will be experiencing a Will Greenlee.
I'm
in
so
our
excited.
presence. So let's
You
jump
will.
into this
All
right now.
Fort Pierce. What's not to like about a little surf and turf, some crabs, and steak?
Some crabs?
And steak.
And
Like
steak.
crabs, like the disease you get
I'll
in
try
your
it again. What's
genitals.
Not, here, I'll give more respect to
know.
Will Greenlee's comma. What's not to like about a little surf and turf, some crabs and steak? It's still written weird.
Okay,
Will. I
so
love you to
now
death, man.
I feel like he's explaining what surf
Yeah,
and turf is.
right. It's right. We all know what surf and turf is.
Well-
It's a thing with a definition.
You can't assume, Josh.
Perhaps.
Also, crabs is so specific for him to say.
Like, could it be lobster?
I
or
would
is
have
that
done
also-
lobster.
Lobster
He's
is also surf and turf.
Look, I can't afford the lobster. It's crabs and steak.
Look, this is a very expensive headline as it is. My question is, wouldn't it just be crab?
Oh, do you want to hear the headline?
Yeah,
Like,
you could
why
go crab
was
and
some
steak.
It would
crab,
just be crab and steak.
Some
crabs.
crabs are the genital
Yeah,
like
right.
disease.
If there's an S on it, it's on the genitals.
Yeah.
If there's no S,
Right.
you're in deep
Some
sea.
It's on the
You're in the
do you
Baltic.
want some crab on that salad? They would never say, "Do you want some crabs?"
Would you like some crabs on that salad? You're like,
You want that with
keep
crabs?
your weird dick off my salad, or I am never coming back to this Long John
we've
Silver's
had
this
that.
week.
This
Delino,
week.
get out here!
That is the headline, by the way. Surf and turf leaves bad taste in Fort Pierce. Get your puns in where you can, Greenlee.
I don't even know if this is a pun. Is this just literally a story about food poisoning?
Maybe a bad tasting food poisoning.
Perhaps the only thing that could sour the taste is if it's stolen. Something.
That's not a sentence.
That's not
That's barely
even
a sentence.
Perhaps the only thing that could sour the taste is if it's stolen.
Also, if it's stolen, you don't taste it. That's
Right,
like
that's-
like one of the fundamental tenets of not having something is that it's not in your mouth.
Or you figuratively taste
Yeah.
the fact that you got something stolen.
Also,
Yes.
sour the taste sounds like a Boz Scaggs lyric from like 1981.
From
sour
Loda?
the taste.
Or it's like a new metal band.
Yeah, sour the taste.
It's in the or it's like one of the
System of a Down. They opened for System of a Down.
Sour
Are you,
the
guys
taste.
are you guys going up before Sour the Taste? No, we're on the fucking side
We're on the
stage.
side stage.
Yeah, Sour the Taste, dude. They're
Sour
coming
the
up.
Taste is like it's in the same vein as like Young the Giant, Portugal
Yes,
the Man.
that's true.
Sour the Taste.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They have violins and shit.
Yeah.
Like they're one of those metal
100%.
bands with a cello.
Sour the taste if it's stolen. Something along those lines. Could you be more vague, Will Greenlee?
No.
Something along those lines happened January 28th at a Walmart in Fort Pierce in the 5100 block of Okeechobee Road, according to arrest affidavits.
I thought I was going to die on Okeechobee Road. I said this story many times.
Yep.
I was.
And by the way, I
getting-
do need to mention that 16 days after our birthday,
Jesus.
January 28th.
I was.
I always reference
I
everything.
was getting gas in Florida, and I was gassing up the cars we were going to drive across, and it was just me. And I saw 3 of the scariest, methed out dudes I've ever seen in my entire life. And I mean, it basically looked like, remember that guy Puck from The Real World?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, it looked like him on a terrible day.
So this
All
is the
3 of
moment
them.
you know. This is also the moment you know you're not a racist, because when there, I'm assuming there were 3 white dudes.
3 of the scariest
So
looking
when-
dudes I've ever seen.
So when you have that heart racing moment, and you like, I'm gonna die, there is a moment of relief where
I'm
you're like,
at least I'm not a racist.
at least I'm not a racist.
So I ran inside in the store and actually hid behind a black man.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "Did you?" But I was like, "Did you see those guys out there? They're like, we need to do something about it." And by we, I mean you.
Well, Fort Pierce police jailed Justin Kennedy, 36, of Orlando, and Melissa Simon, 35, of Ormond Beach after the culinary caper. A loss prevention officer reported a man, later identified as Kennedy, stuffed multiple items into his book bag. A book bag is commonly used for children's school books.
No, that's you. You're
Rather-
making that up. Yeah,
rather-
I'm calling bullshit.
Hold on.
Rather than stolen items.
Okay.
Who wrote that?
Did
Me
Dan write that
or Will Greenlee?
It's got to be Dan.
Okay.
Jay?
That's Will Greenlee.
That is Will Greenlee.
Okay. The person who wrote the statement, I'll read the whole thing. A loss prevention officer reported a man later identified as Kennedy stuffed multiple items into his book bag. A book bag is commonly used for children's school books rather than stolen items. That was written by Daniel Van Kirk.
Gondelman!
Jesus.
Okay.
Gondelman walks in and just lays it down.
In Kennedy's book bag was 3 pillowcases. In his jacket.
Wait. In his book bag was 3 pillowcases.
Greenlee,
Yeah.
tighten this
Yeah.
up.
Tighten your shit, man.
Were 3 pillowcases in his jacket and 4 steaks and 2 cans of crab meat. Cans. Cans.
I wouldn't even call that surf and turf.
No.
It's
What do
like
you call
turf.
that?
It's
like bodyboarding and turf.
I agree.
lake and turf.
Right.
Water skiing and
That's
turf.
hoarding and turf.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wakeboard and turf.
Canned crab would also be like what real fancy doomsday preppers have.
Yeah.
It's like we have 700 cans of crab.
Right.
We're
Doomsday
gonna
and
di-
turf.
Yeah.
Doomsday turf.
A pairing of seafood and red meat is a classic combination, not unlike peanut butter and jelly, that is referred to as surf and turf. Surf refers to a dish from the ocean.
Okay.
While turf means something from the land.
This can't be him.
Yes.
This has to also be you.
Okay.
I'm going to lose my fucking
So
mind.
you say Dan Van Kirk,
Okay.
Jay?
Greenlee.
That's
Okay.
Greenlee too.
Okay.
I think it's Greenlee.
A pairing of seafood, I'll tell you at the end, I'll read it again. A pairing of seafood and red meat is a classic combination, not unlike peanut butter and jelly, that is referred to as surf and turf. Surf refers to a dish from the ocean, while turf means something from the land. That was written by Will Greenlee.
No.
That's in a newspaper in America.
So this is the only thing that I can...
In America.
So in America, I think is the key phrase. Here's
Yeah.
my hunch, just based on this one.
I can't wait to
think
hear it.
he's subtly trying to help people learn English.
Okay.
Like I think this is
This
for
is like
a
part of the
language.
This is part of the TOEFL
Yes.
exam.
Recent, yes. It's
He
for
wants you to
recent
know your
immigrants.
colloquialisms.
And he's trying to, like, maybe there's hostility to immigrants where he is, and he's, like, subtly trying to
What a
acclimate them to
positive,
America.
I love
that's
the
a
spin.
positive
I love the
spin
spin.
on
That's the
Greenlee.
Gondelman positivity.
I
move
think
on.
he thinks people are dumb, and he's like, I got to just do
The
it.
Gondelman positivity principle is in effect right now.
But if he thinks people don't know what surf and turf is, why premise the whole article on, like, here's surf and turf?
Kind of because he's
Right.
like, you might want to read on.
Yeah.
Here we go. The seafood usually is lobster, though prawns or crab may be substituted, while the meat is typically a type of steak, such as filet mignon. Surf and turf alternately is known as beef and reef.
No, it isn't.
Who wrote that?
Oh, God.
Me?
That's Dan.
Or
You.
Will Greenlee?
Dan. Too much of an add-on to an already
I think-
Greenlee thing.
I think you're right. I don't think beef and reef is too far.
I think it's Greenlee.
Okay.
So you two say Dan, and I
Yeah.
say Greenlee.
I'll read it one more time. The seafood usually is lobster, though prawns or crab, notice he did not pluralize it then.
He?
Yes. Well, the first part. Or crab may be
The
substituted.
royally.
Yeah. While the meat is typically a type of steak, such as filet mignon, surf and turf alternately is known as beef and reef. The person who wrote all that is Will Greenlee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Get out
Thank
of here.
you.
Stop
Beef and reef.
Yeah,
Beef
it's
and reef.
Beef and reef.
That's so crazy because it's like a cat is a four-legged animal,
Yeah.
also known as Alf tried to eat them. It's like, that's completely unnecessary. It's like so tertiary to the definition.
By the way,
great
Beef and
poll.
Reef is my kid's favorite Nickelodeon show.
Beef and Reef's my favorite band. Beef and Reef.
Beef and reef is also when pirates have disagreements with each other.
None of us in this room have heard
Reefy?
it
Yeah,
called
Reefy.
Beef and Reef.
Never in my life.
Never in my
Never.
life either.
It
works out.
I'm now going to exclusively, when I talk to, even if it's on a menu.
I want you to walk into a place as you pull your pants up and ask if they have
You
beef
guys
and
got
reef.
beef
you
and
guys
reef
got
in it?
beef and reef?
Y'all got a special on beef and reef?
Beef and reef, I think I would say if someone told you that beef and reef is when you have to take a shit when you're scuba diving and you just do it
Yep,
down in the
100%.
ocean.
Yeah.
100%.
I did a quick beef and
Yeah.
reef and I'm fine
Or
now.
even lower key, like farting in your scuba suit. It's like, oh, he pulled a beef and reef.
Or it's like underwater porn.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It does sound vaguely sexual.
Or it's like a fight you have with a sponge underwater.
Yes.
Yeah, we're beefing on the reef.
Beefing on the reef.
Or it's when you're chumming to bring up sharks and you're doing like
That's
a boat
exactly
tour.
what beef and
Hey,
reef
guys,
is.
We're beefing the reef, guys.
Yeah.
It's a beef and reef.
Or it could be a term when you're in a writer's room when people are throwing too many jokes
many
on something.
jokes.
Guys,
Come
no
on.
need to beef the reef.
Guys, we're beefing the reef. We already have it. We already have it.
We've got the
right.
joke.
Oh, it's just going to be another version of this.
Come on,
like-
we all write. We know refrigerator logic. Let's make beef and reef a script note.
I'm just saying it all sounds like if you're like in a speedboat and you show your dick to a guy in another speedboat.
It's fucking beef and reef me. He beef and reef me 2 miles off the coast.
Tyler, come on, not cool.
He beef and reefed me.
Dude, I get to punch you now. I beef and reefed you, so I get to punch you.
No, dude.
No,
Tyler.
Bring your jet ski over, Ty.
Tyler.
Come closer so I can hit you.
They both die at the end of the story. in a jet ski
I've
accident.
been eaten by a shark. I've heard of sea do's. That's a sea don't.
According to arrest reports, Kennedy left the store, Walmart, without paying and went across the street to a Golden Corral, a restaurant better known for chocolate fountains than seafood. Me or Greenlee?
Greenlee.
Okay.
Dan.
Dan.
Okay. The person who wrote this, I'll read it again and say, according to arrest records, Kennedy left the store without paying and went across the street to a Golden Corral, a restaurant better known for chocolate fountains than seafood. That was written by Daniel Van Kirk.
Yes! It's also they're best known for steak. I was misled.
Yeah. Chocolate fountains is a little specific.
But have you ever had steak
It's in
dipped
every
in a
commercial.
chocolate fountain? It's unbelievable.
Speaking of do's and don'ts, chocolate fountain at Golden Corral is a fun don't.
That was solid. There, he's accused of giving at least some of the goods to Simon, who's accused of trying to make her own fraudulent return. So I guess she waits at the Golden Corral. He
That's
goes
right.
and steals.
She comes back
brings the merchandise. Then
to
she
try.
goes to Walmart and tries to return
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Okay. Simon and Kennedy were...
Golden Corral is like their stash
Yeah,
house
I know.
for steaks, which is insane because they sell steaks.
Right,
there.
exactly.
It's their diner location from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
I love
Do you
Honey
guys
Bunny.
want anything else? Nope.
Nope. Nope. We're gonna
Everybody
do
be
a crime
cool.
today.
This is a crime that's never happened before.
Everybody shut the fuck up. This is the Beef and Reef. Any of you motherfuckers touch my Beef and Reef and I'm going to shoot every last motherfucking one of you.
I need you to hand me my wallet. It's the one that says beefy motherfucker.
Beef and reefy motherfucker on it. That's it. That's what we said about LeBron James coming to Los Angeles. So LeBron James coming to Los Angeles is like Samuel L. Jackson doing the Capital One commercials.
Yeah.
It's like you're forgetting about the great shit he
Yes,
did back
that's
in the day.
true.
It's like I don't want to hear Samuel L. Jackson say, "What's in your wallet?" I want to hear him say, "Go reach in that bag and pull out my motherfucking wallet."
Yeah.
The one that says "bad motherfucker" on it.
If they could say bad motherfucker in the
would be
Capital One
great-
commercial,
and just beep it
You
out.
can beep it out. Yeah.
it would be fun.
Simon and Kennedy were arrested, each on misdemeanor theft-related charge, and taken to the St. Lucie County Jail, where it is unlikely that surf and turf is on the menu.
That's
Greenlee.
That's Greenlee.
It
no
is
doubt.
Greenlee. It is Greenlee.
That is
I'll read you. The fun thing about these is they always have little more links to other articles,
Sure.
and so we could just kind of see real quick
These are always fun.
what's going on. Some of them might have shown up before, or
Okay.
maybe some people listen out of order. Either way, we have 3 mores in this article that
love
you
it.
could have clicked on. Probably takes
If
you
you
right
like-
to another Greenlee.
If you like this,
Right.
you will love this.
More alligator trespassing at Walmart nabbed by PSL cops.
Nice.
You don't have to say the alligator's trespassing.
I know,
exactly.
I know.
If it's in the Walmart.
yeah,
At Walmart.
Alligator nabbed by cops.
Alligator managing Walmart arrested by police.
Alligator perusing the aisles.
Alligator on layaway at Walmart.
Stop assigning shit to the alligator.
Here's one I would love to read. Maybe we did it. I don't even remember. Hairweave hubbubaloo prompts police response.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we might have done
may
that.
have done that.
And then we might have done this one too.
No,
I'm
we
not
never
sure.
did it, but I think it was
Was it
also
another
in
more?
another more
Yeah,
of.
okay.
Yeah.
And the last more, and it's got a question mark in it that I love.
Yeah.
Satanic sacrifice threats in Sebastian.
If
We
you're-
might have done that
Is
story.
Sebastian
actually,
a person or a place?
from Neverending Story?
if that ends with a question, then no, that's
Yeah.
like not an article. If you're still asking the question,
Right.
like answer the question, then write the article.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
you know, I
Don't-
mean, I don't want to tell people how to journalism works,
Sure,
but
sure,
there
sure.
are the 6 questions you ask at the top of every story: who, what, where, why, when. There's 7. Who, what, where, why, when, how, and are there satanic things inside of Sebastian?
Yes.
Those are the 7. If you go to the Newhouse School of Journalism and you will ask those questions.
Or if you go to the
University of Missouri.
what's the School of Journalism in Northwestern?
I don't know.
Is it
Oh yeah.
Medill
Yes,
School of
yes,
Journalism
yes.
at Northwestern University?
That is what
so.
you're going to learn. All right, there you go. First story in the book.
First
You
story
experienced
off the
your
books.
first Greenlee. You will never be the
It
same.
was incredible.
Okay, let's take a break. Josh Gondelman is with us. We're going to hear about his book, which you can pre-order. We're going to tell you how to follow him and his new special, all that stuff right after this.
Stick around, make a sound for more Dumb People Town.
It's a trying time that challenges all of our basic assumptions. However, one thing that brings us all together is our common humanity. Now, more than ever, teams must come together and work together to solve big challenges. And Trello is here to help. Trello, part of Atlassian's collaborative suite, is an app with an easy-to-understand visual format. Plus, tons of features that make working with your team functional and just plain fun. Teams of all shapes and sizes and companies like Google, Fender, and even Costco all use Trello to collaborate and get work done. With Trello, you can work with your team wherever you are, whether it's at home or in an office. No matter what device you're using, computer, tablet, or phone, Trello syncs across all of them, so you can stay up to date on all the things your team cares about. Keep your workflow going from wherever you are with Trello. Try Trello for free and learn more at Trello.com. That's Trello.com. Trello.com.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I think this comes out, and tonight we're at
sounds right.
at Largo. This is a May 7th situation.
So I don't know if there are any tickets left. As we're recording this, there are probably about 80 tickets left, but I think it's probably going to sell out. The show is tonight, but you can always check in and see. The live show tonight is Tim Heidecker, John C. Reilly, and Amy Mann's the musical guest. So great.
Amazing
What a
show.
lineup.
Yeah,
Right.
Live show at Largo, Los Angeles. We love it so much.
We were talking about the fact that Randy and I, we may not have met you, but you were at a show that we did at Brandeis University now how many years ago?
Oh my gosh.
Your
It
freshman
must be-
orientations.
Yeah, so it must have been 15 and a half years ago.
Okay,
Oh my
so
God.
you
It's a
were
really fun show for us.
super fun show for us to do. Our opening joke was
Like Brandeis is our Wakanda as Jews.
so we came
We say Brandeis forever, and then just make
and
like
then
a Jewish
instead of
star.
a cross, we
Just
make a
two
Jewish
Jewish
two
stars.
triangles.
And the Koshernium is the that's the indestructible mineral. And it's
perfect.
dairy-free coffee cake.
Exactly. It will not give you a stomach ache.
It's parv. All right, so we got on stage, and our first joke, which we didn't know if we should say it, so we looked around and we're like, so this is everyone who couldn't get into Tufts.
little dig. We
Little
had to dig out of the
dig.
hole.
It was fun.
Dug out of the hole a
Fun
little bit.
show. My brother-in-law was
Who's
at
a
the-
huge fan of this show.
Yeah, him and his
David
wife.
Zucker.
David
Shout out.
Zucker and Jordan, they're fantastic. They're big fans. They're dummies. They're dumb people townies. Anyway, they'll be super psyched that you're on the show. You have a new album out, which is called what?
Dancing on a weeknight.
Dancing on a Weeknight.
Cool.
Like nobody's watching.
iTunes, people can grab it.
iTunes, yeah, anywhere you can download stuff. It's available on vinyl through
Where'd you
Blonde
do it?
Medicine. I recorded at Bell House in Brooklyn.
Which we will be at the Bell House on October 13th. That's
Sunday night.
awesome.
Yeah.
And if we fill that, we'll do a second show. That is an amazing venue.
It's so great.
So good. And your joke writing is fantastic. You're just a fun person to watch.
Oh,
You
thank
stand
you.
up. This is an album you have to get. If you're a listener of the show and you enjoy the show, just do this.
Pick it
get
up.
this album.
iTunes, Amazon, vinyl. You said vinyl.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love that it's out on vinyl.
I'm going
What's the record
backwards.
label?
Blonde Medicine.
Right.
It's
Dominic
Dominic
Del
Del
Bene.
Bene. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the greatest.
That's
He's
who I'm
the
doing an
greatest.
album with.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. He's
Yeah.
the best. I can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah, people need to get on the tip of what Blonde Medicine's
Yeah,
putting
they're
out.
doing some really cool stuff, and he's great.
And the book.
the book comes out in September, but it's available to pre-order now.
Now.
It's called Nice Try: Stories of Best Intentions and Mixed Results.
And these are essays that you've
Yeah,
written.
and
Great
personal
idea.
stories. There's like a couple things that maybe like I've done as stand-up over the years, but like fleshed out as stories. But it's mostly stuff I've never written about or talked about other places.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, Dan, shall we jump into a second story?
Let's do
We've got Josh Gondelman
it.
still here. He's still remaining.
Still among
I'm
us.
still here.
Okay.
He's in the wild.
Here we are. Twitter user. And who did I say?
Who sent this one?
in?
Who sent this?
I'm getting better at this.
Twitter
guys.
user.
I know.
That you should just
If
say
that's the
human
way you're
being.
if that's the
Yeah,
way you're
that's
identified, you haven't done enough in your life.
Mouth breather.
If that leads your obituary,
That's terrible.
It's just like, well, no one's at that funeral.
Twitter user.
Josh Mout at J Mout. I always say this wrong.
No
I'm
one's
sorry,
at-
Josh. Mouat.
No one's at
J
the
Mout.
funeral, but the tombstone got 12 likes. I'm just gonna say that.
but it just has a picture of an egg on it.
Debating if I should read you guys the headlines.
Yeah.
The headline or not. I'll read it to you.
Do you want it? No, don't read us the headline. Just
Okay.
read the story because I don't want anything to be given
Twitter
out.
user.
Twitter user at bacon flavoring.
His epitaph was 140 characters.
280, bro.
280, bro.
280, bro.
And a picture. You can still include a picture.
Yeah,
so that's
yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah.
And a link to another funeral.
Twitter user at
It just says this. And it's the picture.
This and then is fire and a Grim Reaper emoji. And a bizarre picture of the,
Oh, I hope this guy isn't dead in this story.
and a bizarre picture of the fire festival.
Twitter user at bacon flavoring thought it would be a good idea to pretend to be stood up at an Outback Steakhouse on Valentine's Day in order to try and get a free meal.
That is bloomin' ridiculous.
There you go.
Crikey.
He documented his plot to arrive at the Australian-themed, that should be in quotes, right, Australian-themed chain Every Outback Steakhouse should have a picture of Will Anderson in it. And
Yeah,
in fact,
I
all
love
of
Will
us should
Anderson.
commit
Yep.
that when we're on the road, if we're near Outback, we somewhere put a picture
Yep.
of Will Anderson.
I'm talking to Will Anderson right now. I hope he listens to this, or people who are in Australia.
I
Tell
love
him to
him.
listen to this. I'm going to tell him to listen to this.
He's the Australian Josh
Will,
Gondelman. So nice.
He's the best. You need to send us a bunch of headshots.
I know.
So that whenever we go to an Outback Steakhouse,
We will put it on the
force
wall.
them to put it above the little, and we are basically gonna spread your comedy through
That's
Outback.
not a
love
headshot.
this.
That's not a headshot.
Is a
It's a
headshot. Giant poster.
Based on the apathy of almost all people who work at chain restaurants, they won't care.
No one's gonna stop
They'll
us.
probably be like, you put it up.
We'll just say that we're from corporate, and you have to put this up.
Yeah. He documented his plot to arrive at the Australian-themed chain.
Is this why he got busted? Because he documented the plot?
He busted himself. On February 14th, all dressed up and seemingly excited for a date who would ultimately not show up. Here is the pretty obvious catch. The stunt was all a ruse to score a free dinner, and it worked. I will now break
Outback.
down this night of this guy.
Outback, you got had.
This is such good publicity for Outback
I know,
Steakhouse. The
I
best
know.
thing I've ever heard about Outback Steakhouse is some guy tried to trick them into a free meal.
That's right, right.
Like he
And they
would eat
did
there
it.
for free. That's
Yeah.
the best compliment I've ever heard.
You
paid
can
to that
trick
chain.
everybody.
The only thing I've heard about Outback Steakhouse is when you have diarrhea, it goes down the drain the other
It
direction.
does. That's amazing.
And, you know what? I liked it.
That's a good one.
Quote, if I went to Outback Steakhouse by myself tonight and asked for a table for two, then got progressively sadder as the night went on alone, do you think they'd give me a steak for free? He first tweeted on Thursday afternoon. In
And a bunch of
preparation,
people are like, yeah, dude,
in
get
preparation for his scam, he called ahead to the restaurant to say his date was running late and posted a picture at his table for two. In case you were wondering whether I'm, taking this seriously, y'all, I wore a full suit jacket. If I'm
Wait. A full suit jacket?
What, were you going to Cedric the Entertainer and just wear the jacket with no sleeves?
Like,
Full
full suit jacket.
full
So
suit.
you know I'm
Yeah, what was
serious
he
about
trying to
this.
say, a
I'm
full
going
suit?
Cedric the Entertainer. So you know that I'm committed to entertaining.
You would say a sport coat like everybody else.
Yeah.
A blazer.
I wore a
wore
blazer.
A sport coat, a suit jacket. I mean, like, you definitely wouldn't say a full suit jacket.
suit.
Full suit is like you wore the
I
pants
feel
too.
like shit,
Or
but
just
I
the
can't.
sleeves.
Just the sleeves.
I can't.
Tank top, suit sleeves.
Two
I
sleeves.
feel shit, but I can't deceive
Like
you guys.
Iverson.
For some reason, I put full in there,
One
and it's
sleeve.
not in there.
Oh,
He
damn
literally
it.
just wrote, "I wore a suit jacket."
I
I honestly,
wish he would have done that.
for the life of me, thought I saw the word full.
it's okay.
That's okay.
He even ordered his imaginary date her wine of choice. Quote, well, I remember she said she loves Chardonnay, so why don't we start with a glass of that? That's too broad. Go with,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Do you think
something.
Outback even has a Riesling?
I remember she
I'm sure
said Chardonnay.
I'm sure they have a Riesling.
You think?
Oh yeah, that's a sweet wine. I bet people
dessert
at,
wine.
Yeah.
people at the Outback Steakhouse love a Riesling.
I'm guaranteed they have a Sauv.
A Shiraz. There's a lot of Australian Shiraz.
That's true. Yes, that's a
What
good call.
could you,
That-
if you walked in and said, I would like a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, would they throw you out?
I think so.
Maybe.
Would they
I
throw
think
you
so.
out?
Maybe.
They don't like New
The
Zealand.
fuck did you say?
I just said like,
man,
hey. He's just waiting for his date. Just ease off on it, man. All right.
All right.
All right. I'll be
People
right here.
in the restaurant started to take notice. This is a quote that he wrote. The waiter just talked to the bartender, he updated. I'm sitting in a booth at the bar, and every single person within eye range has glanced at me at some point during the evening. This is what I enjoy a good bit, but you're making a lot of other people sad for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're ruining.
Which they'll never know was a
Right.
bit.
But Dan, who is going to Outback Steakhouse
A lot of people
on
Jay.
Valentine's Day?
A lot of
Dan.
people.
Yeah.
No.
Jay,
Jay, you're
people
wrong.
went to Waffle House
On Valentine's.
Yeah, we didn't do the story, but they did a whole promo at Waffle House of like come out and people. It's like you have
Outback
to do
Steakhouse
reservation
feels
times.
like the place you go when you can't get a date on Valentine's Day, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna go eat my
I'm
feelings.
gonna eat steak until I die.
I'm gonna eat a 12,000 calorie blooming onion.
I'd like to do your steak challenge. Like, we don't have one. Oh,
No,
you
you
do
do.
now.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
You keep giving me steaks.
You do now. That's
until
the
my
challenge.
heart stops.
To like
Oh, yeah,
I
we do
can't
that. Yeah,
stuff
we do
it.
that.
Suicide by steak. Yeah,
we do that.
That is actually on the menu.
Because bit's only good if the person eventually knows it was a bit.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just a lie. It's a ruse. It's a deception.
I
you
get-
have to pay a bit off. Otherwise, it was never a bit. It was a never-ending thing.
It's a cheat.
Right,
It's a
right.
cheat.
Pranks bum me out. I like because those people felt bad.
Right.
Right. You're
I
getting
know.
you're deceiving innocent people, which is fine. I mean, some pranks are really funny.
Yes, that's true.
But this is not so harmful. I'm not.
Rory and I
hate
on
this
Pen
guy.
Pals got into a whole thing about pranks, about how we
He
feel
loves
about-
him, or you?
Both of us are kind of against him.
I kind of am too. I think it's hard.
But here's my thing. Somebody who sent us a letter on Pen Pals, weird, I'm not trying to do a weird backdoor plug, but check it out. They sent
It's
us...
just called a butt plug.
A butt plug? Is that a
Thank you,
backdoor
Will
plug?
Greenlee.
I'm not trying to do a butt plug.
Actually, I'd be the Will Greenlee in that because you were concise.
Backdoor plug.
Somebody filled up another guy's car that he worked with like packing peanuts, his entire car.
That's hilarious.
And I said, I'm like, okay, that is funny. But me, the type of person I am, would then feel like I have to help clean it up.
You absolutely
right.
have to
But
help clean it.
real prank people do not
No,
do that.
they have no.
They
they're like,
leave it
I
to
got
you, and
I
then-
got you, bro, and I'm gonna walk away.
The person who he pranked with the peanuts. Then the next day, that guy came out to work, who had started the prank for, and all 4 of his tires were off. His car was on cinder blocks, and he also had to find the tires.
Great.
And I'm like, see, but then how does this ever end?
Because
Never ends.
it never ends.
This is how the Crips and the Blood started.
That is.
Prank
It
war
is.
gone wrong.
I believe it. So anyway, he says every person in the eye range has glanced at him at some point during the evening. He even gave his fake date a name and backstory, calling her Catherine, maybe Lorna, and filling his growing fan base in on their love story. They met at a grocery store, hands grazing, as they went for the same bag of shredded cheese. That's good detail, actually.
It's amazing.
I think though, because I think you're right that the people at this Outback are going to find this very memorable, and they still think they saw a sad guy.
Right.
I remember on my birthday, which was before Valentine's Day in January, my wife and I went out.
When's your birthday?
January 15th.
Which
That's
is only
3 days
after our
Yes.
birthday.
Yep.
Yeah, just making sure.
And we went to, my wife and I went out, and we saw the most unhappy couple we've ever seen in our
Yep.
lives. And I think
Yep.
about it every day.
Sure.
The guy was so drunk he couldn't eat.
Nope.
And the wife or girlfriend or just like friend
Person,
who
right.
cared a lot. Yeah.
Caretaker.
Was like, she was like audibly went, why don't you just fuck the waitress? And it's like, if this guy can maintain an erection this drunk,
Wow.
he's gonna fuck everybody.
That's
here.
right.
He's a fuck monster.
I will get fucked by this. Why
Yeah.
don't you just fuck the waitress? You should not have heard that.
I shouldn't have heard it.
That should not be words that
Right,
you
but
hear
that'll
from someone.
live with you forever.
I think about it all the time because it was also
Maybe that
they
was a
must
food
have
prank.
such a dark history because clearly he was not capable of that. And so for her to jump to that is to be like, why don't you just throw up on your plate? Or like, why don't you just fall asleep before dessert? For her to be like, fuck the waitress. Like, how many waitresses has this guy fucked that you assume that's his move?
Or she's taunting him. She knows he can't fuck the waitress.
Yeah,
and she's
that's
like,
right.
why don't you just
Why
fuck
don't
the
you
waitress?
try to fuck the waitress?
Because you can't. I want you to say that to your wife at another restaurant.
Why don't you just fuck the waitress?
Because these people next Valentine's Day are going to be like, remember last Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
saw that guy.
Yes.
Like, I can't.
I can't.
I feel bad being out again.
I don't know if I can go back to that restaurant if it's haunted.
Right. I don't want to go out for Valentine's Day anymore. I don't need to see this.
Here's a tweet from at Bacon Flavoring. It's 9:45. The kitchen closes in 15 minutes. I'm going to wait until the waiter comes by, and I'm going to finish the wine in one swig from the decanter. No glass necessary. Then here's a picture of him that he tweeted out of him. He does look sad.
Let me see.
Yeah, but
He's
he
selling
also looks like he's like a good-looking guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I don't like him.
I don't like a handsome.
I don't like him.
I don't like a handsome man.
I like if this
I like a handsome man, but I don't like
know.
this guy.
if this bit was a full hoax, right? Like if it was one of those things of like, oh, he made up this whole thing, I would like it more, I think. Because I think the narrative is funny, but it's like making servers stay late on on Valentine's Day.
On
They might have
Valentine's
their
Day.
own loved ones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is he trying to ensnare a woman too?
Yeah.
By the end of the thread, he reported back that the mission was, quote, successful.
Oh, good.
A couple at the bar had paid for his meal.
No, not the
Yes.
restaurant. Not Outback. So now,
And if your sadness has reached the bar,
yeah,
everyone knows.
the bar is already sad.
That's
Yeah.
a sad.
The
I
bar,
love a bar scene. I will
the
always
bar
set
in
the bar.
Outback, Dan.
Oh, fuck, Billy
That's the
Joel.
only- in my opinion,
Billy
that's the only place you want to be.
Billy Joel won't even touch that with a song. If the Piano Men were playing in an Outback Steakhouse, the song would be called Dead Piano Man.
tugging at my piano
A
strings.
couple at the bar had paid for his meal.
No.
Ultimately, there's a little redemption from
I'm angry
bacon
now.
flavoring.
I'm legit angry.
Ultimately,
Dan.
he donated $50 to the American Civil Liberties Union as a thank you and got his leftovers to go.
Okay. So we can look at this story and say the world is nice and there are nice
So
people
at least he took probably somewhere near, if not more, of the money they paid for him. He took that same amount
and then
and
donated. So he's
that.
basically, here's my question. This is maybe just the Jew in me. Can they write it off? Right? We did give to charity.
Right, and we have receipts here from you via
It ultimately
Twitter.
made its way to charity.
They can write it off.
I want to
This
write
guy's
it off.
Twitter account is a 501c3.
That's right. I already wrote it off. Bacon flavoring.
We'll get out of here on this. The scammer in question was only identified by WBDDJ 7 News, the Eagle. I don't make that
The
part
Eagle.
up.
Brandeis.
Yeah.
There it is. It's an L.
As Stephen. Stephen shall remain a hero or a villain, depending on your point of view, forever in our hearts.
Question. Hero to whom? Even if you like the bit, you're not like, that guy's a hero.
I look up to that
point.
dude.
You got a free steak. That's
Yeah,
my bar for heroism is very low.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, so all right, that's story 2.
That's
Down in the
story
books.
two.
Dan, can you give us a little tease of what we're going to see in segment 3?
I can. In story number 3.
Yep.
It's a sad day for a nudist restaurant.
Oh, okay. Is that Outback Steakhouse? All right, we're back with more.
The Back Hair Steakhouse.
The Back Hair Steakhouse. Josh Gondelman's with us. Stay with us, Dumb People Town.
Stick around, make a sound. There's more Dumb People Town.
All right, should we read some names?
Yes.
Let's get
do
us some
it.
names of people who have joined the Patreon and helped us out. It's patreon.com/dumbpeopletown. There's great new content.
There's video content that's exclusive only for people on Patreon. They're quick little ones where we bring the stories. Dan gets to riff with us.
It's just fun. They're
table
just
turning.
fun. And everybody whose name we're about to read knows how much fun it is. And I love when we start with alliteration.
Bruce Braden.
Bruce Braden.
Big man. How about Chelsea Vance? Chelsea.
Hey, it's my brother's name.
Chelsea Vance. Chelsea?
Vance.
Okay, Chelsea
Chelsea's
Vance.
a great name, too.
That's right. I agree. Okay, Matt Martingale.
Did he host Joker's Wild in
I
the 70s?
think he hosted. Am I wrong?
Wild.
He did host
That's a
Joker's
pull.
Wild.
Matt Martingale.
You ready for this next one, Dan?
All
you do
three
it.
of these guys?
All 3 of them. You do it.
Donald, Todd, Benson.
The third.
Dude, I don't know why. There's certain things that forever will be the perfect amount of syllables to make you start doing
Donald,
a Brody Stevens.
Todd,
Donald, Todd,
Benson.
yes.
You got it. You got it. How about Marcella Johnson?
Marcella Johnson.
Marcella Johnson.
Rocking it out here as a pillar of the community.
Brian Langford.
I love you, Brian.
Love
Did
you, buddy.
Michigan State recruit him?
He did.
Jeff
He's like a guy
Cutshaw.
that Michigan
Jeff
State found.
Cutshaw.
Jeff
Better
Cutshaw.
quarterback than Jay Cutler.
I also think Jeff Cutshaw sells like storm doors, right?
Yeah. So get on down here.
Jeff
because
Cutshaw.
I'm losing money unless you start buying.
I don't have a shirt on my back. I'm Jeff Cutshaw. How about
He
Travis?
doesn't have a shirt on his back, but he's still supporting this podcast.
Right.
Yep.
Travis Ray
Stepbrother of Sugar.
and Jonah Ray. Nicole.
Nicole.
Thank you,
Keeping
Nicole.
it simple. Thanks,
One
Nicole.
name, one word. We love you. You know who you are.
Now look, this next person probably is very law-abiding, but there's something about her name that sounds like it's in a Dumb People Town story.
What's her name?
Tammy Tribble.
Tammy Trimble.
Trimble.
Tammy Trimble, whenever she talks, sounds like she's about to cry.
That's right. Tammy
And
Trimble.
that's what I love about
Right.
her.
Yeah. I'm not saying she was the perpetrator, but that's a DPT name.
Tammy
and I
Trimble
love it.
had something to do with it. How about Dana De La Vega? Oh my God.
If you are not
If you don't have your-
Cirque du Soleil performer, I cannot help you.
If you don't own your own bowling ball, I'm out. How about Jen Braun?
Jen Braun has
Braun.
a very strong handshake.
Jen,
Yes.
like unbelievable. What are you doing? She works out with like one of those squeeze things. I love it. Carolyn Cullen,
City council member.
culinary genius.
And same name as a great bar in Chicago that I hope is still there called Cullen's.
I feel like she is like the CEO of Cullen Industries.
That's right.
I
Maybe.
need 2 CCs of Carrie Cullen.
Let's get him. How about Kathy Mashallah?
Carolyn Cullen.
And so, how about Kathy?
Kathy. Now,
Kathy
this is-
Mashallah.
she's one of our most loyal.
I love the Kathy Tikka mashallah.
Me
That's
too.
Personally, that's not spicy.
Every time we do a show at Largo, Kathy's there for that meet
Yes!
and greet.
She's our cat.
Holding
She's
it
the
down
best.
in DTLA.
That's
Cat
it.
girl, you know we love you and we know we love hanging out with you. How about Christopher Malkoski?
Klaski.
Thanks, Christopher.
Christopher Malkoski. He works down at Midway.
He's
I know.
the cap
Here's
at Midway.
the thing about him. Hey,
Yeah.
mother motherfucker was gonna go pro.
He could have gone pro and then he blew out his knee.
He blew his knee out
Blew
because
his
he
knee
tried to get in a fist fight with a Chevy S10.
Yeah, well, he with was his drunk. Knee.
Off-season injury, never been right.
Well, he tried to jump it. And I don't blame him for trying to jump it, but I'm telling you, the Kobe thing was a joke. He jumped next to the car and he thought it was real. And
how about Nick Leiter?
Lighter or later?
Later, bro.
Later, bro. All right, so big shout outs.
It might be Leader.
It might be Leader later.
Kathy Mashallah, thank you. Carolyn Cullen, amazing. Marcella Johnson. These are all people who are Pillar Community or above. And everyone else, thank you so much for being on this list, for supporting this podcast.
If you listen to this podcast and you want more content and special things,
it's just fun.
Go to patreon.com/dumbpeople10. Sign up today and let's
merch. We got other items, and there's a new level, by the way. And $1 from every single person's contributions every month goes to the Jan Flato Fund. We're building it up.
The new level is what?
The new level is $51, and that's the highest level that you can be a founding father and mother.
DPT.
And we will take some of your social media and do our own DPT
breakdown of your
life. It'll be really fun, and then you always will have that video.
Strife.
This is it. All right, let's get back to some stories.
Hey guys, welcome back to DPT, Dumb People Town. We want to remind people, Randy and I are going to be in Bloomington, Indiana this weekend coming up.
That's right. The 9th through the 11th, we'll be in Bloomington at the Great Comedy Attic. We want to see.
Have you done that room?
It's amazing.
You've done that room. I know you've done
wonderful.
that room. It's fantastic.
It's terrific.
And then we're at Wise Guys at the end of the month, and then San Francisco at the end of Cobb's. There we're going to add a date perhaps in the fall in Tinley Park in Chicago at the Convention Center on the 27th, and maybe Ann Arbor that next on the 28th. Go to supersclars.com. You can see all of our dates. And we're starting to post.
You're going to be in Ann Arbor the Saturday before Halloween.
No, that's the 27th
of September.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
We might be in Denver that Saturday before.
Be
we're trying to get back to the Comedy Works downtown. Whatever, we'll figure it out. But just go to supersclars.com.
And follow us on Instagram. I'm going to put this out there to the people. We're starting to post a lot of stand-up clips and old Cheap Seats clips and bits from Back on Tops, the series that we did. A lot of content that we've created over the years that kind of lives in different places around the web. We're going to make our Instagram page a page where you can come see all the things we've ever created. And lots of great clips from this podcast.
Yeah.
So
wonderful.
I'm pointing
it
out.
You guys should put up is Time Life Records bit from your album.
Oh, yeah.
You should put that up.
I love that. Yep.
Yeah.
With Michaela Watkins and John Ennis. I love it. All right, should we jump into the last story?
Here we go.
Let's do it.
Sent in by Kate Newens at Kate Newens. Kate's been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Great
and
contributor.
I love that she's a townie.
Thank you.
The first nudist restaurant in the French capital is being forced to close because it cannot put enough bums in the seat.
This is the biggest tragedy to happen in Paris ever.
Oh, come on, Randy.
It predates some of the bad things,
fine.
but yeah.
Natural.
Yeah, but how would you do it? It's natural.
Oh, natural.
Oh, natural.
Oh, natural.
How are we doing? Are they doing it wrong, Josh?
I don't know anything
Josh,
about
you know
French.
French.
No, I don't know any French. I don't know French.
All right, fine.
I was just thinking
natural.
about angry nudists burning down the Cathedral of Notre Dame.
Maybe that's what's happening. Put clothes on a nudist, they're going to get mad.
Cracks in the foundation? Is that the name of the headline for the article?
We'll draw the curtain on nude fine dining in Paris.
The meat curtains?
In February, so we missed it. There we go. After a little over a year, despite rave reviews from diners who shed their clothes to slurp oysters and feast on snails,
You shouldn't be
foie gras
slurping nude.
and asparagus.
Oysters?
I know.
Are they all just naked foods? That's gross.
Yeah.
Can you pass those nuts? You mean these
nuts? Yeah.
That's the name of the restaurant.
These nuts.
Have any of you guys?
Les nuts.
Les nuts.
Have any of you guys? You can say pass. I don't want anybody to reveal anything they're uncomfortable with. But have any of you guys ever been in a situation where you experienced even personal form of public nudity?
Yes.
Where you were in a scenario where it's like, oh, everybody here just gets naked?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And is it easy to let go?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
totally
obviously,
easy.
I have a cabin up in a lake. Like, I've skinny dipped more
Yeah,
times
no.
than I can.
I've done it with
We ran
strangers.
the nude mile.
You did?
At Michigan.
Oh, wow.
So
You got
we
naked.
went to a party where everyone was supposed to get naked. That didn't happen. People weren't really comfortable with that. But everyone, you had a backpack, walked to the starting line, took off all your clothes.
You did it?
And ran for a mile through campus. I will
Do
say,
you stop thinking about it at
yes,
some point?
but there was a point at which there was a crowd of people that came out to watch, and the
don't like those
the
people.
line got very narrow, and you were running between two lines of people, and you were like, this is not good.
Right.
I remember thinking, I'm okay because no one's going to bother me. But I'm like,
Too
if
easy
there's
to
a
grow up and
woman,
not know who did
yeah,
it.
exactly. And then when we made it all the way to the end, we just put our clothes back on. But it felt very freeing and liberating. It was basically our freshman year at Michigan when we were there. It was a tradition that the rowing team
used to do, but then everyone's like, "Oh, why are they the only ones who can do it? Like, let's do it."
Like it was that was the kind of thing
Does
where
it
you'd
still
walk.
happen?
Why do only people in shape get to do it?
Right.
Does it still happen, or is it problematic?
I'm not
I
sure.
bet
It
it
probably
probably-
doesn't.
not
But
in this
this is
generation.
92, 93.
But a lot of cities have the naked bike rides.
Yeah.
Right? I know
Yes.
Chicago has it. I know.
Yes.
Wait,
places has it.
does it still happen in Ann Arbor? No more. We were just our buddy who's going to be our John Bacon, who was on View from the Cheap Seats. He is in Ann Arbor, and he says no more. Okay.
No more for the naked. Josh, you've experienced public nudity.
I've been publicly nude. I did naked stand up. There was a show that I don't know if it still runs in Boston. I did that a couple times.
Wasn't there there was a naked roast battle?
Nate Fritzon's girlfriend battled Ari Shafir. What's her name?
Allison Clem.
Allison Clem. She battled Ari Shafir.
them.
She's so funny.
So
and
funny.
this was the funniest moment, is that she reached into her vagina, if I may say so, and she pulled out something, and everyone didn't know what it was going to be, and it was her jokes written on a
that's
little sheet
so
of paper,
funny.
and she read her joke.
Killer.
Genius, killer move.
Huge. That's
She's
like when
super
who's
funny.
the comedian, the guy, big black comedian who would
Reach into his
coat pocket, his jacket pocket, like
pulled
full
out-
suit coat pocket, and pull
pulled
out
out
a
a
drink.
Oh,
Like
that's
that
so
was
good.
always
Great,
it always
funny
made me
movie.
laugh, like a
Such-
full tall glass
Yeah,
of something.
yeah.
So
Anyway,
funny.
Gin
so
and tonic.
we've done it, but so
Oh,
nude
okay.
restaurant and they now have to close.
Well,
their,
yeah. But
they now
to
have to
avoid,
close their legs, so to speak.
but to avoid financial embarrassment.
What they're unexpectedly closing because they're open a little over a year, and that's not the length of any lease.
No, you're right. But to avoid financial embarrassment, twins Mike and Stefan Sada said they were having to close. It's now or never, they urged curious, wanting to experience a last nude dinner in Paris before they bring down the shutters on February 16th.
Isn't
So
Paris?
we missed it. We
Isn't
missed
Paris
it.
the same place they had the restaurant in the dark? Like, isn't that
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Where none
I
of the
think you're
lights
right.
are on,
Wait,
and you're
Jay,
not allowed
did
to
you just say isn't Paris that place? That same place?
would agree. I'd follow you.
Isn't the most iconic city in the entire world?
It's that place in the dark restaurant. City of Lights in the dark restaurant. Also, Last Nude Dinner in Paris is my favorite Brando film.
It was amazing.
You
By
could
the
tell
way,
he was kind of phoning it in, but it's
oh,
good.
by the way, Fat Brando would have been at that nude restaurant in a second.
with a Native American
Fat
next to him.
Brando would have gone nude to the restaurant. Like most people go in there and take their clothes off because they're actually being prudent.
Sure.
But like he
shows up nude.
Right.
Why don't you just fuck the waitress, Marlon Brando?
That's actually what
He
you
would.
say
He would.
at a nude restaurant.
Well,
Right.
I would.
Are the people working there nude?
I think everything is nude once you go in there, but you can't cook nude.
I hope it's a lot of.
Maybe that's why
I hope
oysters.
there's not a lot of sauces.
Yeah, no, I don't need it sizzling.
No, fajita plates. Everyone just dives under the table.
Do you have to wear two hairnets if you're working?
That's right. One on top,
Yeah.
one on the bottom.
Yes. We are counting on you to support us. Well, it's too late for that. They wrote on
exactly.
Facebook. We thank everyone for taking part of this adventure. We will only remember the good moments and the great people we met. The restaurant.
Never all the times we sat in Alfredo sauce.
Please don't toss that. Please don't toss that.
No mix-ins. No mix-ins.
The restaurant in the
Dave, can you come back here and toss this salad and then make them a Caesar salad?
And then make them a Caesar.
The restaurant in the east of Paris opened amid a blaze of publicity in November 2017. Clothes must be left in the cloakroom along with mobile phones to prevent people from sneaking a photo of other customers, is what they said when they started out.
I do feel like that makes you really present through dinner, right? No phones.
Sure, no
Yeah.
phones. Guys, no phones. Where are you going to put it?
Yeah.
I love it. That's what I tell my kids. No
I left
phones.
my wallet. Where's my wallet?
It's like a Dave Chappelle show.
You got to call Mike Damone to come over to Paris.
You know, we don't need to hug goodbye. The state's done.
good.
Well, high five.
Yeah.
Classic French high five.
It gives new meaning to stiffing the waitress.
Well, you're really excited for that baked Alaska, Steve. All right, there we
go. Josh
go.
Gondelman, fantastic.
The
guest.
book, one more time. The book you can pre-order
Pre-order it now, yeah.
It's called
Nice try.
Nice Try. Please pre-order that. Definitely get the album
Dancing on a
Weeknight. Do that.
Josh Gondelman, and follow him on Twitter. And follow your Twitter's amazing because
thank
you put stuff out there and like thousands and thousands of people retweet, which I love.
Oh, thanks, man.
And so deserve it. Great writer, great person, and oh shit, we got to get back to work.
Dum 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 dum. Stick around, make a sound, hunker down, it's Dumb People Town.
Starburns Audio, a podcast network.